With the T20 World Cup, a big controversy in Australia. Sources say that the BCCI has told the ICC that the food provided to Team India after practice was cold and inadequate. Top sources say that the Indian cricket body has questioned why cold sandwiches were given to players for lunch after 3 hours of practice, and the sandwiches were not even made. They were DIY sandwiches, do it yourself. Sources say that even the practice venue was over 40 kilometers away from the hotel. The International Cricket Council has reportedly hit back. According to sources, ICC has said that everything is mentioned in the handbook and that only snacks or sandwiches will be served after a certain practice session. Sources say that the ICC has said that it is awaiting an official complaint from the BCCI and that it will see what best can be done. Now, Virender Sehwag has also weighed in on this entire controversy, saying gone are the days when one used to think that the Western countries offer so good hospitality. India are way ahead of most modern countries when it comes to providing hospitality of the highest standards. So that's what Virender Sehwag has now tweeted. Karishma joining us for more on this. Karishma, this is an ugly fight brewing between the ICC and the BCCI, but BCCI seems to have raised some serious concerns.
Well, it's absolutely the BCCI raising some very, very serious concerns too. One, about the food, cold sandwiches being served after intense practice sessions of 3 to 4 hours. And second, practice grounds being given far, far away from where the team is staying. If case in point, Sydney, where the practice stadium is 42 kilometers away from the stadium, from the hotel that the team is staying in. So clearly, these are the two issues that the BCCI is having, and they have informed the ICC about the same thing. But what the BCCI also saying is the fact that, these are basics of providing hot food, of providing nutritious food. Yes, the ICC could have informed them well in advance in the playbook that snacks would be served or just sandwiches would be served. But, you cannot be serving just cold sandwiches to players after an intense training session of 3 to 4 hours. It so happened that players were seen ordering food from delivery portals or just having fruits or whatever they could pick and choose from the cold food that was there in the stadium. Now, one is hoping that when India moves on to the next destination for their match versus South Africa, this situation will be solved, because the BCCI not wanting to create too much of a fuss, because the full concentration has to be on the tournament and the winning momentum that India has at the moment. They play Netherlands tomorrow, and after that they play South Africa on Sunday. So they are focusing on that, and the BCCI is going to take it up with the ICC to ensure that from next destination onwards, hot food, nutritious food is made available to the players, especially after an intense training session.
All right, Karishma, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for joining us with those details. And let's talk a little more about this entire controversy of BCCI versus the ICC. Joining us right now is Venkat Sundaram, former pitch committee chairman of the BCCI. Thanks very much, sir, for speaking to us. You've been the member of the BCCI. What do you make of this entire controversy? Inadequate food, cold DIY sandwiches for lunch after practice, and the practice venue being 42 kilometers away from the hotel. These are some grave concerns, aren't they?
Yes, they are, because normally these issues in a World Cup are handled well in advance. The Indian cricket board should normally have advised the Australian counterparts of the special dietary requirements of the team. Normally, if you notice now, these games are now played periodically. You've got the IPL, you've got so many leagues going on. The dietary restrictions on the players is quite tough. Right from breakfast to dinner, their dietary requirements are checked by the physio, by the doctors. They're advised what to eat, and so many of them are like that in the Indian team. Secondly, to serve cold food in very cold temperatures doesn't make sense. They could easily have grilled sandwiches that they're serving, and they could have taken special care. I was the manager of the Indian cricket team in the 90s, late 90s, and we were in Sri Lanka playing against the Sri Lankans. Physio and the coach came to me and said, in the hotel where we were staying, and we said, please follow the dietary restrictions on playing days as well as non-playing days. It went into that much detail. And what should be served during lunch, what should be served at tea, what should be served after the match, because there are some players, because of tension and other things, they don't eat much during the match. They only have a fruit or something like that. And after the match, they're very hungry. So every care is taken as far as the players are concerned to make sure they're comfortable and able to perform at their best. Coming to the venue being very far away. Now, let us say that in India, we used to have a venue in Kanpur, the Green Park, and there were no adequate transport arrangements, especially for air travel. The airport was between Kanpur and Lucknow, or you have to go to Lucknow and then travel by coach some 30, 40 kilometers.
Yes.
Similarly, when the matches were played in Rajkot and other places, in remote parts, we had to travel long. Now, of course, airports have come up, and this is a particular requirement. Even in a place like Dharamshala, which is in the mountains in the Himalayas, even there an airport is close by so that the players don't take long time. So these are all particular requirements which are taken care of. And I'm surprised that in a country like Australia, which has such excellent facilities, and I've played there, I know, I'm aware of these things, that they've got practice facilities 45 kilometers. It doesn't just make sense at all.
Yes. In fact, the ICC in its response has now said that everything is clearly in the handbook, that only snacks or sandwiches will be served. Though they say that when we get an official complaint from the BCCI, we will look into what best can be done. Do you think that's a good enough response?
Well, what else can they say? Put it like that. Maybe they could have put some coordinator. There's generally a local manager for every cricket team, maybe more than one. And maybe they could have checked what are the requirements of the Indian team. And, I even remember that on past tours, cricket tours, there was a special requirement for Indian food to be served. And the Australians did make those arrangements. So they are aware of the requirements of the Indian team. It's not the first time that an Indian team is touring Australia.
Yes. Now, I want to understand from you, Mr. Sundaram, who is responsible for these arrangements? Is it the host nation, in this case Australia, or is it the ICC, or do the both do it in collaboration with each other?
Well, there's generally coordination, and there is a rapport which is formed. Normally, it is the host association, that the host country that has to provide the food and the other logistics like transport and so many other things. So, including the ball for practice and for that has to be available. Local borders there are so many protocols to be followed. So all this is handled by the local board, and they have point persons at each center, with each team. So I'm surprised that it has come to a situation where the Indian board has to write to them or take it up with them.
All right, Mr. Sundaram, thanks very much for speaking to us and sharing your perspective on this controversy that is brewing in Australia between the BCCI and the ICC. An ugly controversy over there when the team is out there to play for the World Cup there. They're being served cold sandwiches, inadequate food, the venue for the practice far away from the hotel. These are some of the complaints that BCCI has, issues that BCCI have raised with the ICC. That's according to sources. Let's see what ICC does about that. Thanks very much, Mr. Sundaram, for joining us.